Welcome to the Roost.
Today we're going to be playing a solo TTRPG from an indie creator. This is the first time I'm going to be playing a solo RPG ever, but I picked up a copy of Watch the Frogs from AP in June on Free RPG Day, and have been wanting to play it ever since. A lot of solo TTRPGs work with journaling, and this one does as well, but I don't really like journaling, especially when it comes to gaming. It just doesn't feel like it's a game for me. So I'm just going to roll some dice and hopefully tell a chaotic story. So let's get to it. So the premise is your witch friend has gone away for a few days, asking you to house sit for them. I imagine my witch friend to be like the witch from Brave. She lives out in the middle of the woods in a cottage with some overgrown like undergrowth and brush kind of barring the path to and from her house. And I think the cottage is pretty simple too. It's a little magical probably, but I don't know the ins and outs of the magic. I've been here a couple times, but have never seen her frogs before, so I'm assuming that they're a new addition to the household. So I arrive, and apparently my friend has left me one simple instruction, which I imagine is like tacked to the front door. And it says in big, I imagine all caps letters, "Watch the frogs." I think that this is something, the game says that this is supposed to be like a mini escape for me. So I'm going to say that I am sick and tired of my family bugging me about all of their problems. And this is my mini vacation getaway into the middle of the woods. So I am going to open up the room, or the cottage, and look around, and I don't see anything at first. And then I see another piece of paper tacked to the wall pointing to a door. And I've never been in this door before. This is like the workshop for my friend where she does all of her witchy brews. I imagine that there's going to be a cauldron inside because I've never seen her cauldron, but every good witch should have one. And I hear a ribbit, a croak. And so I'm going to slowly, a little nervously, because I've never seen these frogs, I've never been in this room, and just slowly open this door and enter the enchanted room where the frogs live. And then the door from underneath my fingertips disappears. These are no ordinary frogs. And now they have access to the whole house. Now there's like this event table for the TTRPG. I'm going to roll to see if there is something that happens immediately, just to see what the first possible obstacle I have is. But before I do, I want to describe these frogs. The art has them as this like orange and green frog, but I imagine that they're maybe a little big, other than like palm or fist-sized frogs. I imagine that maybe they're like size of a small dog, like a chihuahua sized frog. And I think there's only two, at least for now. Maybe some magical shenanigans happens later on, but I think that the two main ones are these like chihuahua sized bullfrogs. And they're a little warty because, you know, it's a witch's house. Of course, they're not toads. Let me be clear. They're not toads, they're frogs. But I think in the way that pets resemble their owners, there's a little bit of a witchy's wart going on. Or maybe my friend got her warts from the frogs, who knows? And I think I want one to be blue. Almost like a poison dart frog coloring, like this bright, vibrant blue. And the other one has a hat, just in case it wasn't clear that these are not ordinary frogs. I think it has, like, I like the leaf petal hat in the art in the game, so I think that it has a rose upside down on its head, just like little pink petals overarching, not quite covering its eyes, because I can definitely see those beady little suckers as these guys hop out of the room underfoot, and I kind of stumble as I try not to step on them, and they leap past. So the first event that I'm going to roll, I rolled a d6 because I will eventually graduate up to a d12, but I rolled a 2. And so 2 is, it's a gift. Someone has left a pile of random objects next to your bed. Not all of them are welcome. Interesting. I don't think I would have seen this yet. So I opened up this enchanted door. The door disappears, and now the frogs are loose in the house. And that was the first thing I did. I saw the sign, I saw the frog, watch the frogs. I saw the arrow pointing to the room, and I haven't really looked at anything else that my friend might have prepared for me for this stay in her house, right? Usually there's directions like feed the plants or help yourself to food, that sort of thing. So I'm gonna look around as don't worry right now. These frogs, though they're loose, nothing bad has happened. So I'm gonna let them have some free reign as they're kind of hopping around. And I'm gonna go put maybe my bag down in the place where I'm going to sleep. And I think that's really just like the couch. I think maybe it's like a cot or something that she set up apart from the couch, but in the living room. So I think my friend would have told me feel free to use the bed, but sometimes I just don't feel like doing that. And it's a nice, I would say open living space. And so being out where the sun shines and that sort of thing with the open window, I like that sort of setting for the place where I'll be staying for the week or so. And I think maybe underneath the cot, as I put my bag down, something squishes under my foot as I step up next to the cot. It's supposed to be a pile of random objects. Not all of them are welcome. So I think the thing that squishes is this putty, a goo of some sort, or maybe even a slime, if you've ever made gack out of cornstarch and water, that sort of thing, or glue. So I think I step in that and it gets stuck to my foot. And now I have just this schlucking sound as I step around because I think it is adhered now to the bottom of my boot, even though it doesn't adhere to the floor. So something's up, but that's okay. And I think as I look underneath to see what else might be there, what else? A pile of random objects. I think there's maybe some firewood under there, but it's, I think it's summer at this point. So I'm not going to be using the fireplace, I hope. But I will open the window next to that cot and just let the breeze in. And I think if there's any other random objects, let's see. I got the gack, I got the firewood, and I think one more thing, another unwelcome thing, as I'm kind of schlucking around with the gack on my boot. I think there's some froggy footprints. I think that they were fast and they maybe went under, and now there's frog slime there as well. So, it's not too bad overall, but it is a mess that I'll have to clean up. And so I think I'm going to go get a broom, go get a mop, and start cleaning up that part of things. I also think that with the gack, I'm also leaving a trail of footprints. I don't think it's as slimy as what the frogs are doing, but at least now I have the underside of the cot cleaned up. Nothing's gonna hurt the firewood. It's still, dry seasoned wood. It's not wet from the frogs. So I'm gonna start looking for where these frogs went and see if I can't corral them into some sort of pen or keeping. And I think I look around and one has made it up onto the kitchen counter like a cat, and I think the other one is nowhere to be found. So I'm gonna go over and try to grab this frog on the counter. And I think I do. I think it's the one with maybe the hat. And I grab it and I just kind of look it in the face and just say, okay, we have a week together. We're going to be calm. And I know I can't put you back in the room because the door is gone. So you and I need to work out something, a deal. Okay? So you don't make too much of a mess, and I won't let my friend turn you into frog stew when she comes back and sees the mess you made. I'll even clean up after you, but only if you're not that bad. If you're really bad, she's gonna see the mess you made, even no matter what I try. And I think the frog just kind of ribbits, and I'm gonna take that as an agreement. So I'm gonna put it back down on the floor and then try to look around for this other one. I look, I think, under and in the kitchen cabinets, nowhere to be found. I look at the front door, which I think I accidentally left ajar, and I quickly go over to close it as I see the other frog hopping towards it. And I think that would be a good place to roll again. 6. Frogs everywhere. Somehow the frogs are multiplying. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I closed the door. I just rolled a 6 to see what the population increased by. I just rolled a 6. So I close the front door as this frog goes towards it, and I see the frog without the petal hat, the blue one, just turns and looks at me and starts to shake and bubble. Its skin starts to kind of vibrate and enlarge, and I think it's growing for a second, but then a second frog hops out of its skin and becomes a mirror, almost like a twin, and it happens again and again. And I'm standing there in a panic thinking, oh my God, what is going on? Is it sick? Is this supposed to happen? I've never seen this kind of magic before. My witch friend does very controlled magic and nothing has ever gone wrong before. Are the frogs supposed to be able to do this? And why wouldn't she have warned me about this? So I'm panicking a little as now there are 8 total frogs. 7 of them are blue. And they start to hop around, and now there is a frog on every surface in the room, on the kitchen counter, on the top of the cabinets, on top of the cot that I'm going to sleep on, in the workroom, and it's getting loud. It is riveting, and there's like this cacophony, like I'm in a forest pond with a chorus of frogs now just singing to me. And it's not a great song because I've never been around this many frogs in my life. But everybody's inside, everyone's contained. I do my very best because I still have a week to live with these frogs. I try my very best not to step on them. I do try to like poke the new ones and like, are you real? Are you an illusion? No, they're very real. And now there is foot frog slime everywhere. And I'm not going to be able to clean this up in time, but that's a problem for the morning. So I'm going to go to bed. And I think in the morning, I probably wake up with a frog on my chest, just ribbiting right in my face. So I wake up with a little bit of a scream. I sit straight up. The frog goes flying. And then I go quickly get up out of bed to go check on it, making sure that it's okay. And it seems to be okay. It appears like this one has somehow gotten its own flower hat because it's blue and has like, I'm going to say a daisy, like white petals hanging over its eyes, over its head. And I'm going to kind of just tilt my head and look at it and just say, did you find that somewhere? And the frog just kind of tilts its head back at me, ribbits, and then hops off. I shrug, and I think the rest of this day is just trying to contain the mess. So I wipe down all of the surfaces. I think I have to get a broom and talk to the frogs, because now I talked to one, but there's 7 more that I haven't talked to. So I do my best. I at least go to like the kitchen area where like the counter and like food prep and the stove is, and I clean that area. So I wipe down all the counters, I sweep the floor, I mop the floor, make sure that there's no nooks or crannies where frog slime is gonna like turn into mold. And I shoo all the frogs out of the kitchen. And I think I light the stove and put a pot of boiling water on it and whistle. I've never been able, personally, me, Mari, have never been able to really do a good whistle. But I think I'm going to whistle and hopefully the frogs start to pay attention and look at me. And I just point to the stove and I just say, you stay out of the kitchen. You have free reign of the house everywhere else, but the kitchen is off limits. If you go into the kitchen, you're going in the pot. And I point to where the pot is bubbling now with boiling water. My friend will have some good frog legs when she returns. And I think at least then the frogs kind of gulp, but I think there's probably one that looks at me and I know that they're gonna be trouble. So I'm gonna open it up now to the D12 and just see what I could roll for the next thing. Okay, we're going back down. A 3. Tall tower, a precarious tower of frogs are trying to reach something high up. You can't quite see it from here. Okay, so I go about the rest of my day, but I think where the camera kind of shifts from my view to the frogs, and the frogs get together and point to the top of one of the cabinets where there is what do I think it is? I think it's going to be a wand. Some sort of like hedge witch stick, like the kind that it almost looks like something a child would pick up if they wanted to play witch and wizard, right? And it's just kind of laying atop that cabinet, inert for now, but the frogs point up to it and start stacking. And there's 8 of them, so they could easily reach the kitchen counter again, even though I told them not to. I think at this point, as they're restacking themselves on the kitchen counter, which to be fair to them is probably the separator between the kitchen and everything else, like the kitchen and the rest of the cottage. So they're not really in the kitchen. And not that I would have actually boiled the frogs anyway. I'm a sucker for animals. And that just seems cruel. But it was supposed to be a deterrent and clearly didn't work. I think I come out of the workshop trying to figure out if there's any other instructions, like looking in the like apothecary cabinets and drawers, and like looking through all these herbs, like thinking, is there a recipe book for containing the frogs, for returning the 7 frogs into 1 frog? No such luck. And I come out and there are 8 chihuahua-sized frogs stacked on top of each other on the kitchen counter. And one, the very top one, is definitely the one that looked at me earlier and is reaching with its front foot towards the top of that cabinet. And I just see that little bit of wood, the wand sticking out up top. And I run over and like, no, you are supposed to be out of the kitchen. Get out. And I grab the broom and I just kind of shoo them. I'm not hitting them, but I will shoo them and nudge them back into the rest of the counter. And then once they're off the counter, I think it's pretty easy. I think they're definitely loud now, just protesting with ribbons. I am going to reach up to the wand and say, I wonder if there is a way for me to use this to restore the frogs. I'm going to tuck it into my back pocket. I'm going to hold on to it for now. I haven't quite decided how to work it. I'm going to see if there's like a wands for dummies or something like that back in the enchanting room. And as I'm looking around for that, I think maybe I find like a singular book in there, and it's a recipe book. And I kind of flip through and there's nothing about frogs there. So I'm gonna roll again to see what's going on as I'm searching through this enchanted room and the workroom. Rolling low, okay. Another pile of random objects, but not all of them are welcome. I think this time there's definitely a frog that has actually shit in my bed. There's just frog poop. So I'm gonna have to spend some time cleaning the bedding. I think also there are some flies, insects, and things like that. Maybe some spider webs have popped up underneath, and the frogs are just kind of enjoying their first class meal. And since I kicked them out of the kitchen, they've made the cot their own kitchen, right? That's their food source now. They're starting an insect farm for their food source. I'm gonna let that slide and take up residence somewhere else because I can't be bothered trying to control 8 Chihuahua-sized frogs. I go back into the workroom and I wish that there was a door to shut, and I don't know how I'm going to get these guys back in here when my friend arrives in a couple more days. At least for the second day. I think that's pretty good for the second day. I think I have like 2 or 3 more days before my friend gets back. So I am going to end up, I think, sleeping in her bed because my bed has been taken over as the insect farm. And let's see how I wake up the next morning. I rolled a 1, and that is Glitter Gang. A gang of tiny frogs have become fond of you, which would be nicer if they didn't leave sticky glitter over absolutely everything. So I think I wake up the next morning and I look around, and it's not just the Chihuahua-sized dogs anymore. There's also like a herd, like poison dart frog-sized, like real poison dart frog-sized, multicolored, like bright pinks and yellows and oranges and blues. There's definitely some blues in there, of tiny little frogs. And they're just kind of sitting on the kitchen counter waiting. They had their meal already. The insect farm is going well, but I don't know where these guys came from. And I look at the door is still shut, and then I remember I had opened a window. I had opened a window because it was summer and it was nice outside, and I wanted to let the breeze in. And I do a quick head count, and I do still see there are 8 big frogs, but now I think there are, let's say, 20 tiny little frogs. And as I just kind of look at them and take note of them, and I will go over and shut the window because I don't need any more things coming in or out. They hop on me, and I think they hop on me, and there's a glitter trail wherever they step. I am now a rainbow of glitter because they jump on my arms, on my head, on my shoulders, and I'm covered. It's like just an absolute sequined mess. And I think that only a couple of them actually hop on me, and the rest start hopping around the house. They do, I think, obey the no kitchen rule, but everywhere else, not off limits. So there is just pink, orange, yellow, blue glitter covering the walls, the couch, the cot, the fireplace. I'm gonna have to clean the freaking chimney flue because of all of the clouds of glitter that is coming over everywhere. And the gack on my boot picks up the glitter and spreads it around as I walk around as well. And I don't know how I'm going to explain this to my friend. I need to do some more research. So I go back. I don't even bother, I think, cleaning it up yet because I need to figure out how to reduce the glitter. And then I remember the frog. The second frog with the petal, the daisy, the new hat. And I think maybe if I got some more flower hats, maybe that would settle them down. Maybe that would give me some goodwill with these guys. So I gently deposit the frogs, the glitter frogs, stupidly, into my friend's workshop. I just try to say, stay here, try not to make too much of a mess, make sure that they're off my shoulders, and I head outside, leaving them alone in the house, and I'm definitely gonna come back to some chaos. But I'm gonna go flower picking, and I'm gonna pick out as many different kinds of wildflowers as I can. I look at some like irises, some daisies, some like baby's breath even, and I try to gather as many different kinds of petals as I can, leaving a very clear trail of glitter and picking up mud and grass and leaves and all sorts of debris on the gack that's still schlucking around underneath my boot. And I track that back into the cottage, adding to the chaos. And let's see what greets me while I'm here. I haven't rolled above a 6 yet, even though I'm using a d12 now. And I do now. Okay, so I rolled an 8. Chaos in the cauldron. The crafting room is being overrun by frogs, all of whom are adding random ingredients to the furiously bubbling cauldron. Okay, so I come back into the cottage and it's suspiciously quiet. It is an absolute mess in the front room. There is glitter everywhere. There is a little bit of frog slime everywhere. But the insect farm is abandoned. It's still going strong. Don't get me wrong. There's still plenty of food there for them. But no one's feeding right now. No one's harvesting. And then I hear a bloop, 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 little bubbling sound. And I remember the cauldron in the enchanted room. And I run over to the door and I see just random vials being dropped in by all of these frogs. Even the glitter frogs are in on it. They're just hopping around and passing the big ones little herbs and all sorts of spices and eye of newt. And I see one of them even like scraping his friend's back and like throwing frog slime in there. And I see that they're starting to get like this pink and blue and green smoke kind of coming up from the cauldron and the fire beneath. And I don't even know how they lit the cauldron, but that is a problem for another time. And I just say, oh no, stop, please stop. You have to, okay. And I start to try to gently push them away off the counter, out away from the cauldron. I grab I think a nearby bucket of water because it's, safety first. And I try to douse the flames underneath the cauldron to stop whatever potion is being brewed. As one last frog, I think, drops a random seed of something in, and there's a like poof of sparkly, I think it's actually probably some glitter that poofs up and showers the room in, I'm gonna say gold glitter with these like underpinnings of the typical yellow and pink and blue from the other frogs, from the tiny frogs. As the potion completes and the frogs hop away, none of them have been able to do anything with the liquid inside. And as I kind of look at the cauldron as they all hop away, my flowers long forgotten in my arms, I look down and I think the cauldron liquid has slowly stopped bubbling. The smoke has started to, it's just kind of hanging out, I think, at the top. And so I open the window again and try to get the smoke out. And the liquid that's left in the cauldron, it's been like condensed somehow, like all of the excess stuff has evaporated through the smoke or exploded in that glitter. And there's like enough to fill 2 or 3 vials. And so I do. I find some empty vials in the workroom, and I just scoop out that liquid and mop up the excess with a towel, which I then throw outside because I don't know what it does, and I don't need the frogs getting into it. And then after the smoke is out and the vials are carefully put away, and I think I do leave a label on them, unknown frog creation, with glitter underneath and with like a question mark. I labeled those and I put them away. I clean the cauldron as best I can and wash the towel outside, but I do close that window again. And then I look at the frogs and just say, what do you think you were doing? My friend's gonna know when she gets back. I need my friend should have a name. I'm gonna call her a Thera? I was gonna say like Athena, but I don't think it's Athena. I think it's Thera. Thera's gonna know when she gets back. She's gonna know what you did. I'm gonna tell her. I am just kind of imagine one frog punching his other hand like, you're not gonna tell her, a little threateningly. but I ignore it. I don't believe the frog. And then I remember the flowers that I had picked. And so I carefully, not deadhead, but like pinch off the buds that I had gathered from the flowers I had gathered and say, well, I got something for you all. And I kneel down and clear some space, some non-glitter space, and lay down these flowers on the floor and just say, I thought you all might like some hats. And I shape the ones and like offer the petals, the flower buds to these frogs and just say, I think maybe each of you can get something unique, a little hat for yourselves. And so I think slowly, maybe one by one, I think maybe the first one is very hesitant as it hops forward and picks up an iris and kind of like jams it down over its head. And then it ribbits at me. And then I think there's like a chaos as all of the frogs come forward and start picking out their favorite flower and jamming them on their head. And I think for the one that already had a hat, actually the two that already had a hat, I say, if you want, I think I have a way to make yours even better. And I like point to the glitter and the gack on my shoe, which I have tried to clean off the like debris and such. And I take a little bit of like frog slime and gack and put it on another daisy and another rose, and then dip it in the glitter that is everywhere. And now they have like a little shiny sequined glittery rose petal hat and a daisy petal hat, if they so choose. I think they have an option now. And I think that buys me some goodwill because the frog with the petals did not like me very much. So 2 more days, I just think 2 more days. So I do my best to clean up the workroom. I make sure that all the matches are put away. I realized that the firewood under my bed had been used to light the cauldron. So there is no more firewood. So I think the next day I go out and I start chopping some more wood so that my friend has a good supply for herself. And I warn the frogs when I go outside, before I go outside, don't do anything more. Just chill. It's okay to just chill. Have a good day. And I take a deep breath, a little suspicious glance back, and I go outside to chop some wood. And I'm going to roll one more time to see what happens on this last day before my friend comes back on the morrow. 7. Flying frogs! Someone has spilt a potion over themselves and their neighbors, giving them the ability to fly or float. So I'm outside chopping wood, and I think I hear a splat or something as something hits the glass of the window, and I look up a little startled, and I just see a frog holding on to like the drapery, the curtain or whatever of that window. And it is just kind of holding itself there, and it is floating in midair. And I just put the axe down and shake my head. And I know that I'm going to go into some chaos. But I go back inside, and sure enough, I think about half of these frogs, including the glitter ones, which are just farting glitter everywhere, are flying. They're floating, they're on the ceiling, and then they are like Superman jumping with their arms stretched out and then flying across the complete opposite sides of the room. And I don't know what to do for a second until I remember the wand. I never looked at the wand. And I look at the frog that was holding on to the curtain, and he looks a little panicked. But some of them are having fun. But one looks a little panicked. So I'm going to go over, I'm just going to grab him, the one that is holding onto the drapery, and just say, come on, I got you, don't worry, it's okay. And I hold him in my arms, and I'm going to bring him into the workshop and put him down and see if he's able to just kind of stay there. And I think he still floats. There's just some anti-gravity nature. Like they can't stick themselves to something underneath. There's something a little weird, wacky about it. And so I think what I do is I set up a little shelf. I like put them underneath one of the crafting shelves with like the ingredients that they were messing in yesterday. So he can kind of sit upside down on that shelf and hold on. So it's at least a comfortable position. He's not free floating in midair. He's got some stability. And I look at the wand and I look at the frog and I just say, God, I really hope this works. And I point the wand at the frog. And I have to roll one more time just to see if anything bad happens. I think if I roll something I've already rolled, then it works. And if I roll a new event, then that new event happens. I rolled a 1, which is Glitter Gang, so it works. All right. So I pray a little bit and I point the wand at this frog in the workshop, and a little startled, but he doesn't have a long way to go, maybe like 6 or 7 inches. He falls down and oh, careful. And I set him up right, make sure that he's okay. And I am so excited. I'm ecstatic. It worked. Okay. You're good. Why don't we get this to working on the rest of your friends? And so I go around and I point it at every single frog and carefully catch the ones that were floating, catch the ones that were jumping across. And then I think I see the one that has been giving me trouble, the ringleader this whole time. And I just look at him and I say, I gave you a glitter petal. And I point the wand at him and he returns to his normal frog state. And then the question becomes, do I leave the 8 frogs as they were? And yes, they're the glitter frogs now too, which I think they're still taking a liking to me, so they're still kind of covering me in glitter and stuff and making their way around the room, but they're not really causing trouble. So I think I'm going to leave them for my friend. I don't want to get rid of them. I don't want to put them back wherever they came from. I'm just going to let my friend deal with that. But the 2 frogs became 8 frogs. And that my friend didn't really sign up for. That was something magical. So I think about it for a second, but then I think of all the trouble that these guys have caused and the 0 instructions my friend gave. And I think, Thera, you gave me 0 instructions. You can deal with this once you get back. These are your frogs. They're your magic. I'm not dealing with it. So I think I leave the 8 frogs, and then I look to the enchanting room, and I point the wand where the door hinges are and hope that the door comes back. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll again because this is a different kind of magic. If I rolled something I already rolled, it works. Oh no. I think it zings backwards and kind of there's some sort of magical essence that comes out of it. Unfortunately, that is not going to work for me. But in dodging the magical essence that kind of ricochets back, I hit the floor and I look underneath the cot and I see there is a trail of slime underneath the cot that I haven't really paid attention to because it was the insect farm. But now there are dead insects under there, uneaten. And there is in the glitter, runes and other symbols that have been carefully sketched with froggy little fingers. And I look and I see that there is some light now peeking out from whatever ritual circle has been created with these dead insect offerings and this glitter circle and slime circle. And I am increasingly concerned as the fabric of reality tears open underneath this cot and a massive behemoth frog paw emerges. I have this wand. It didn't work for me before, but I'm gonna try one more time and pray that it works. I need to seal this ritual. And I look at the troublemaker that is kind of, I imagine it like he's dancing on his back feet. Like, standing like those Meet the Robinson frogs and just kind of like looking at me like, yeah, I did this. I made a mess for you. And that is, okay, that's another 8. Okay. And I just say, oh, no, you don't. And I point the wand back at this frog and at this rift in reality. And it almost like magical sewing starts to zip back up this rift. And the frog behemoth that was about to emerge yanks its hand back inside. And I just say, all right, that's it. I'm going to try this one more time. And I point at the door. And we're going to try one more time. And that is a 6, which I've also already rolled. Awesome. So the door comes back onto the workshop. And I start herding frogs like there is no tomorrow because my friend comes back in about 6 hours. I think this is taken all through the night between the ritual and the cauldron and everything else that has happened in the last week. I am done with these frogs. So I herd them back into the workshop room. And I pray that there is nothing else. I think everything is under lock and key. There's nothing else that they can get into. There's no wood in there for the cauldron. I carefully put the glitter frogs down and make sure that there's none hiding in my hair, anything like that. And I get to work scrubbing this place from top to bottom because there is glitter and there is a ritual circle and there is so much to clean up before my friend gets home. I think I spend the rest of the day doing that. And so at the end of the game, it says, well done, you survived. This may not have been the quiet escape you'd hoped for, which it wasn't, but at least it wasn't boring. And I haven't been thinking about all the family problems. I've been only thinking about the frog problems. I think I have done my very best to put the house back to the state that it was in before I arrived. I have torn down the stupid arrow pointing to the door, and I think I create a new warning sign and just says "Do not open, magic frogs inside," and put that on the enchanted door. I don't steal from my friend. I wouldn't steal from my friend, but I do. So I think I carefully put the wand back, and I think about using it to help me clean up the house. But I don't have any guarantee that it'll work, and I don't want to accidentally remove the door again. So I put it carefully back up on the kitchen cabinet, and I scrub my ass off for the remaining time. I don't get everything. There's no way I got everything. There's still glitter. There's still gack on my boot because for some unknown reason it won't come off. And so when my friend returns, that's the first thing I say, and I just I hand her my boot and just say, please work your witchy magic. I think my friend will be finding glitter in her hair, in her sheets, in her clothes, because I'm sure that they got in the closet, and I did my best, but I think when she opens up her closet, there's just a shower of glitter that comes out and covers everything. But there's still glitter frogs in the workshop that she's gonna have to figure out a way to deal with. So that's not my problem. And I think that eventually I look at her and I just say, before she goes into her workshop for sure, good luck. And as I close the door of the cottage behind me, I hear her open up the enchanted room, her workshop door. And I hear as there are frogs leaping everywhere, glitter exploding everywhere. And I just start running back home. Not my problem anymore. And that, I think, is the end of the game. That was fun. I liked the storytelling element of that. I liked how it got some of the creative juices flowing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Watch the frogs. There was a lot of chaos. I hope that everyone, if you were listening, and you made it to the end, you enjoyed the story. Let me know what decisions you might have made and how you think your visit with your house sitting might have turned out. If you play or have played this, what different things did you decide or roll? And you can check out AP's Itch linked down in the description to pick up your own copy of Watch the Frogs. Don't forget to leave a like and let me know if there's another solo TTRPG you think I should play. I'll catch you in the next one.